Now, various people in Kenya are seeking alternative options of energy, and one of the options is solar energy. And now we're joined by Alec Davis, the CEO of Davis&Shirtliff, who's going to share with us something about the solar energy and water. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes. So we begin by telling us, what exactly do you as Davis&Shirtliff deal in?
Well, we have 5 product segments: water pumps, water treatment, generators, solar equipment, and swimming pools.
Yes.
And we have been established in all of them for some time now.
So maybe we go to water treatment. What exactly does it entail?
Well, it's water treatment is a very wide area, and it depends basically on the water, the condition of the water you're treating. So if the water is saline, you need to have one treatment process. If it's contaminated with bacteria, another. If it's got silt in it, another. So there's no sort of one water treatment process. It's a specific processes for each condition of water.
So if I may ask, how safe are these? We have like the water guards and the kind of things that the chemicals we put in the water to be able to purify it. How safe are they?
Well, I'd like to say one thing first of all, and that is actually that Nairobi water, in fact municipal water in Kenya, is of a very high quality. And to an extent, a lot of the treatment at the domestic level is not so essential. But generally, the process is a two-stage process for domestic treatment. One is filtration, so you filter out any particles in the water, and the other is it removes bacteria. It sanitizes the water.
And do you yourself engage yourself in water conservation? Recycling rather for...
No, we don't. Water recycling is a process that is built into buildings and sites and institutions, and they use our equipment, but it's not a product as such. It's a process that people do.
So you also do solar panels?
We do indeed.
And so far, what is the uptake of solar panels in Kenya?
It's becoming more and more now. The industry started many years ago, and obviously quite slowly. And I'd like to emphasize there are 2 types of solar panels, and I think there's a little bit of confusion in people's minds about solar energy generally. There's the solar panels that heat water, and that is one process, and the water flows through a panel and picks up heat. And then there's the photovoltaic panels, and these generate electricity, and they're completely different technologies, and they have different applications. With respect to the hot water heaters, that's very relatively old technology. It hasn't been very popular here because they were quite expensive and power was cheap in the past. But now they're becoming very popular, A, because of the cost of power, and B, because the regulations, the building regulations, are legislating now that all new builds need to have solar power installed.
So who do you see being your main clients? Is it people in the urban areas or in the rural areas?
Well, it's mainly in the rural areas. Well, it depends again what sort of solar energy you're talking about. For hot water heating, it's generally in the urban areas, and for photovoltaic, it's mainly in the rural areas and the arid areas. Obviously, that's got a huge application in the country.
And what would it cost to get a panel? Because it's becoming an option to having electricity in terms of paying bills. What will the cost?
Well, as I say, there are 2 types of solar heating. A normal house hot water heaters might be about 150,000 shillings, and the photovoltaic is a very interesting situation that's happening in the world at the moment, because the cost of photovoltaics is dropping hugely. And a few years ago, it was like 600, 700 shillings a watt. Now it's down to about 200 shillings a watt, 250 shillings a watt installed. And so this is actually transforming the economics of solar power. And so there is a huge increase at the moment in the applications of electric solar power.
And a short while back I visited Makueni, where you had one of your projects, where you had assisted in a project with the Danish embassy government.
Right.
And how many of those do you involve yourself in? Is that just a one-off thing, or?
Well, we get involved in all sorts of projects. Obviously, we get involved in projects through the government. We get involved in projects through NGOs, various NGOs, and we also do our own community activities. We actually donate installations to worthy causes. We basically focus on children's homes or places for underprivileged children. So we have various ways that we get involved in project work.
And At the moment in Kenya, what is the competition level for you?
Well, it's obviously it's a growing industry, and it's an attractive industry, and a lot of people are coming into the industry. But it is very competitive, and you need scale, you need to be a big company. And what's happening internationally, especially on photovoltaic cells, is that it's very, very competitive, and prices are dropping hugely. And the effect of this is that many manufacturers are going out of business, and the industry is now sort of rationalizing to much fewer but much larger companies, several in China, one or two in Europe, one or two in the United States. So the photovoltaic industry is rationalizing quite substantially at the moment.
And you also do water pumps?
We do water pumps, indeed.
Are these just for commercial or across the board?
For we have now 5,000 shillings. The most expensive is several million, and so it depends. We do institutional, domestic, agricultural, commercial, all types of pumps, and they're different. A pump has got to be designed for its application, so there are all sorts of different designs of pumps as well, and sizes, so that you get the right pump for the job.
You know, when I was growing up, I thought DNS was just, swimming pool diving boards, because that's all I saw. When it comes to swimming pool, are you just do diving boards, or do you?
No. We used to build swimming pools. We don't anymore. But what we do is we supply all the equipment for swimming pools, and we're the heart of a swimming pool is the filter, and we've just produced our 10,000th filter in Nairobi. We manufacture them here in Nairobi, and so basically what we do is when somebody builds a swimming pool, they come to us and they buy the pump and the filter and the lights and all the bits and pieces, and so we help with design and so on, and installation, but we don't build pools.
Are you currently only in Kenya?
No, we're in 8 countries, depending how you define it. We have subsidiaries in Uganda, Tanzania, Zambia, Rwanda, and an associate company in Ethiopia. And we are just establishing a bigger presence. We have a presence in southern Sudan, and we are now also working in DRC and in Burundi.
And I see you also do various power products like generators. Now, with also doing solar power, does it look like there's a competition between the two?
Well, not really. I mean, generators have their application. Solar power, especially electrical solar power, has its limitations in terms of output. It's fine for a small capacity system, watching television, even running a small pump. But if you have a bigger application for power, it's too expensive and it's too complicated at the moment. And so the generator really is the only way to do it. And of course, so in the areas, off-grid areas, a generator is used for prime power, just for powering institutions or whatever. And of course in towns where we have a lot of power outages now, a lot of people have generators as a standby. But I would like to mention as well that as an alternative to generators, a lot of people now are putting in inverters. I don't know if you've heard of inverters, but basically inverters take power from the grid and charge batteries, and so as soon as the power goes off, immediately it turns on to battery, and of course that has the advantage of being instantaneous and not noisy, and it's a very effective solution, and especially in apartments and things like that, offices, that is increasingly popular, and that is an alternative to a generator, and you can have bigger outputs, and of course the power is cheaper because you're getting the power initially from the grid at reasonable grid prices, and then you're using it when it's not you're storing grid power basically.
Okay, we'll be back with you now. And now let's resume the interview with Davis&Shirtliff CEO Alec Davis, and maybe let us know, the fuel prices went high, especially last year. They went high and they still are high. Has that affected, how has it affected the sale of generators?
Well, I think the comment you say is quite right, and fuel is going to go increasingly higher. There's no question about that, and generators are becoming increasingly expensive to operate, and it is important for to understand the cost of generating power with a generator is hugely more expensive than buying it off-grid from KPLC. But it's a matter of expediency. Obviously, if you have a building, a house or a factory or whatever, the cost of not having power is huge. So you have to have power. And so really it's a matter of there is no choice. You have to spend the money. It's a bit like running a car. You don't really have much choice about the cost of running it. You need to get from A to B.
And so how is Davis&Shirtliff now positioning itself able to deal with such challenges, because people may stop to avoid reducing your sales?
Well, I think there will be an increasing market for generators in spite of the fuel price, because of the shortage of power, especially in the regional markets that we operate in. But I think also there will be an increasing tendency to move to renewable energy. So that will be, as I say, photovoltaic, and also the solar hot water, and also inverters as well. And I think there is certainly a move away from generators, but it'll be a long time before they disappear.
And so you have suppliers, vendors, so to speak. How does one, maybe someone who's watching wanted to become a DNS vendor?
Well, we have stockists. We have a wide range of products. Some of our products are very specialized and are sold by our engineers, and some of them are popular, like the small water pumps and the small water treatment items and solar modules and so on. And we have a network of stockists throughout the country. We have 12 branches in Kenya, and we have a network of stockists as well. And so our traveling reps visit appropriate people, and also we're approached, and if the business model, their proposition looks good, then we take them on board as a stockist.
Okay, thank you very much. Good to know more about Davis&Shirtliff and how we can be able to adopt more of solar power and the likes.